Yeah, let's have a little wander down boxing memory lane, because I made contact with you because I saw somewhere that you were looking for people that had seen you fight because you're looking to write a book. You fought Eubank, you fought Collins, you fought Harold Bomber Graham as a pro. As an amateur, you fought top guys. You had a short but big career against big names, John.
I was going in at all of them. Why not? Because at the end of the day, I had my first 10 fights with Billy Aird.
That's right.
That didn't work. I got through the deep end, but I was having wars from my very first bout.
Yeah.
I had my very first war. It was 1986, ABAs. I went up to Vikings Gymnasium. There was one little kid in there named Frankie Davis.
Yeah.
And I thought, I've got to go to London because I'm fed up with 4 fights a year and all that. I ain't having it. So I just went straight up to Thomas a Beckett.
Yeah.
Got introduced to Billy Aird.
Yeah.
And although everything then went wrong with me and Billy Aird, I moved on from there. I thought, right, I'll go with Frank Maloney next for a couple more fights.
And there was a very controversial photo shoot for a newspaper, wasn't there, when you went with Frank Maloney?
What do you mean, controversial?
Well, I heard that Frank Maloney had a picture of you in a park, sitting on a park bench, suggesting you hadn't made any money. And Billy Aird got so upset, he threw a punch and hit Frank Maloney.
Yeah, I know, but it wasn't about Billy. That wasn't, because at the time, but before the Errol Graham fight, I was found not guilty on a Section 16 wounding with intent on somebody because somebody said I'd carved them up.
Which you didn't?
No, it was down to different gangs down there, and the biggest bullying gang, they got done one night because they kept coming round and beating me up.
Okay.
Wherever I was going, they just didn't want me to fight for the title, and I thought, hang about, I'm born in Gloucester. Everyone's all right, but these were bullies. And they got dealt with by proper people when it turned out in the end, and then they took me to court just before the Errol Graham fight.
That's no good, is it?
Nah. Put me in jail for my own protection because the bullies were phoning up the police and telling them they were going to shoot me.
Okay. That's hardly preparation for Errol Graham. That was a British
Steve.
And that was a British title fight. In Errol's next fight, he lost a split decision against Mike McCullum for a world title. So you were always in good company. Who was the best pro you fought, John?
Oh, the best pro. Well, I could say, I boxed Steve Collins twice.
I know you did.
I boxed Nicky Piper once, and he used skullduggery on me to win that one.
What did he do?
Eh?
What did he
He elbowed me in the bridge of my nose about 4 times because I kept telling Howard Rainey, I know how to beat him. I know he's fighting Nigel Benn next.
Yep.
But all I got to do is got to be plenty of movement. You've got to box Nicky Piper.
Yeah,
and as soon as you get to the halfway stage, I'm going for the body shots.
Yeah. Just
before the halfway stage, he elbowed me blatantly on the bridge of my nose, Steve, 4 times.
Wow.
And it started squirting blood, just like someone had stabbed me with a pin, but it was squirting at the ref and squirting in my eye.
And you don't think about Nicky Piper being a dirty fighter, do you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you do, but I don't.
I do, because, he used to plant his feet, and that's the only time he could hit you hard. And I was arguing with Howard Rainey in front of Colin Macmillan and them, because I was training in the same gym as them. I said, I can beat him, you've got to box him. Don't get caught. When them feet stop, make sure you don't get it with a left hook. Because he threw everything in it, but he had to plant his feet. And I knew Nigel was up next, and Nigel was up ringside watching. And I went in after, I said, see, I told you that's how to get him. And you got to get him and drive them body shots, and he didn't like them to get his hands down. Oh. And I watched Nigel box him after, and he done the job on him, didn't he?
He did indeed. So really, John, I mean, it was a fast and furious pro career, but also fast and furious was your association with D-Mob, the Oi stroke punk band. You were a founding member of that when you were known as Johnny Ringo, if I'm not mistaken. But my people, I've got a friend called Steve Lillis who really knows that scene. He said D-Mob were massive.
Yeah, we were, because we were 2 black guys and 2 white guys in a punk band, and at the
That's
time,
odd. Yeah.
we was coming from the Toxteth riots.
Yes.
And we had people from Toxteth coming down to Gloucester, and so I was moving around with one when I was 15.
Wow.
And then you had Gloucester, you had riots kick off everywhere.
Yeah, the D-Mob Riot Squad.
Yeah, we called it the D-Mob Riot Squad because there were so many of us, and we could go anywhere, and we was into. have kit, we'll travel. Just like I had the same attitude I had with my boxing. Have gloves, travel.
I know one night the two of them mixed. That was a bizarre night. That night in Stroud, when I think you're in the Western Counties finals, you had a win there and you had to rush to the gig because you were supporting, don't mention their name, you were supporting an Irish band, if I'm not mistaken, an Irish so-called punk band. And you got there just in time to play your set. Tell us the story about that night, John.
That was quite funny because we had this young lad we picked out the street and cut his long hair into him on weekend, and he was called Clunk. Well, he was a little roadie man who saw me with my drum kit, because there's quite a lot packing and unpacking a drum kit. So, like, he'd always be there helping me wherever we were gigging. We'd go to London or wherever, this little kid with the Mohican would be there. And, like, I'd let him play on the drums and teach him how to drum. Although the only drumming I could do was 100 mile an hour, a bit like, So
you get to the gig and Clunk's in your chair, you kick him out, you do your gig, and then afterwards you're standing at the back of the hall, and on come this band, four of them, and they weren't getting a very good reception. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that's right, yes.
And then what happened? I heard you got back on the stage and said, give them a chance to the D-Mob Riot Squad.
Yeah, well, it was me and a couple of the band members who I was with. We had to go out there and say that because everybody in the halls is the same age as us.
Yeah.
And like we brought a load of them over, and at the end of the day, they're the headline band.
Yeah.
We're the backing band who's gone begging for gigs in that, and they're letting us play, although we ain't getting paid. But we're there, so like, shut up and...
And then, John, now tell us the name of that so-called punk band. What were they called?
That was U2. Yeah. Quite funny, isn't it?
No, John, that's a brilliant story. So, John, listen, day to day, what are you up to? Day to day, right now.
I'm still recovering from lupus right now, but what I'm doing, I'm getting together snippets and photos. I've got all the photos for D-Mob, all the photos we have on the D-Mob covers. I've got everything. I've always photographed my life. I've got my family from Africa and America and Germany sent me photos from when I was a baby, all about my dad in his boxing career. My father had 39 bouts. He won 22, he drew 5, he lost 12. His last fight was 1961 in... I've got it right here. In Auckland, New Zealand against Tony Tara. And his fight before that was 61, Tuna Scanlon, and he was European champion.
Where did he fight out of, and what was his name, John?
Johnny Melfah.
Johnny Melfah Jr., Johnny Melfah Sr.?
Yeah. And
no way.
He died in a in a car accident. We'll leave it at that. He died in a car accident in 1962. Although since I've got different kind of information, but that doesn't mean anything. That's neither here or there. That won't bring my dad back.
You know what, John? It's been a pleasure, and I mean that. It's been a delight talking to you. You've got my number, John. If you think there's anything I can help you with getting stuff together, reports, I'd love to. Johnny Melfah, it's been a pleasure and an honour talking to you today.